G'day guys, welcome back. Main Island Zombie Grub still here at the caster desk of WCS Leipzig for our first series of the day. TvT between two old school heavyweights, currently looking to find their footing here in 2018 for the first WCS stop here. Returning to Leipzig, where technically Petit Drogo is the reigning champion.
Yes, we were talking about that before we got started here. It was so long ago, and a very, very different meta as well. I mean, that was the beginning of Legacy of the Void.
That was Phoenix Adept. Everyone remember those days?
That was a lot of Phoenix Adept versus a lot of Roach Ravager all lanes versus Protoss.
Oh
yeah.
boy.
Actually, that was quite of a, I think, a nice storyline, because if you would watch Drogo up until that championship, he did have a lot of trouble versus the Zerg all lanes, and Bly is certainly good at that, but see if he can have a repeat performance later on in the day. You know, he made it through to Group 2, of course. But we are so ready to get this TvT started. Already gave a little background of the players, but really these guys are very recognizable names.
They are indeed. And we're Terran players ourselves, so we're pretty excited to watch these guys throw down in one of the best matchups in the game. I mean, actually, all the matchups are pretty damn good, but TvT right now, I'm enjoying a lot as a spectator. As a player, I haven't quite found my footing, but that's a personal note. But as a spectator and a fan of the game, which I always say I come first in, just as a fan of this game, I just love watching it, especially the high-level stuff, and both these guys, make no mistake, are extremely high-level. Yeah,
of course. And if they have a good understanding of the Cyclone game, then I mean, it's actually going to be quite an interesting one. There are, like, as many people there are that are saying, like, it's just boxes attacking each other. There is some
with wheels.
Finesse. Yes, yeah, exactly. Boxes with wings. There is some finesse to it that, you know, when you transition out of Cyclones can be pretty much the defining point. You get upgrades. You actually squeeze that in. So important for Cyclones as well. These guys, I think their plan is probably to go into Cyclones. The real, like, you don't have to go into Cyclones. There are a couple of builds that will safely get you to something else besides Cyclones. But the chances of you dying to other Cyclones, or the chances that you had of killing them with Cyclones, sometimes just seems too great not to go for them.
Yeah, Cyclones kind of give you that early map control, because if you don't break your opponent's natural or do a ton of damage, you will generally at least contain them a little bit or make them too scared to move out. You can hold, like you mentioned, with a different unit comp. Marine tank still quite good in TvT. And from Cyclones, you can transition into mech, you can transition to bio, you can do whatever you want, as long as you have a plan in mind.
I feel like once you get past 8 Cyclones, though, you might be better off going into mech.
True, yeah. Depends on how heavy you go into it. In that game, we kind of, a little bit of spoilers for you guys there, but we did see that Kars was the guy that was pumping into those Cyclones, whereas HeRoMaRinE was opting a different path. And it looks like the game is going on, and we are in it. All right, let's do it. And it's up right here, representing Mouse, this is HeRoMaRinE.
And in the bottom left, as the red Terran for Cascade, he is Kars.
That's right, he's under the moniker Back Up J, but do not be confused, that is Kars, the red Terran pieces here on black pink.
HeRoMaRinE, one of the only, I think the only StarCraft player still on Mouse, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to say still representing Mouse, like in that introduction. I tried not to, but he's just, Mouse has been around for a very, very long time. They even had deer at one point.
Oh, yeah.
But if you guys can cast your mind back that far, but HeRoMaRinE has been part of their, like, representing their brand for such a long time. I hope he gets, like, long service leave or something at some point, like 8 years worth of full-time income. Because it just feels like he's been part of that team since day one.
Yeah. And it's a very, like, interesting story for him, is that there were times when he wasn't streaming, he wasn't going to many events. He was like, whenever he did come back, he was always very solid, just like the playstyle that fits him so well. But you wouldn't hear about him for a while, and you wouldn't hear about Mouse, and they'd be like, Mouse, and you'd be like, do either one still exist? Then bam, they pop up again. They come hand in hand, and I hope they're pretty happy with how this guy has been performing, because it has been pretty good. Not yet reaching the top WCS performances offline, but certainly getting close to the online qualifiers, as well as performing in a couple of online tournaments pretty well.
And indeed, both players going for mirrored openings at the moment, just going for your, gas first, quick 1-1-1 builds. Obviously here, Kars is opting for the non-wall-in variety. HeRoMaRinE going for the wall-in variety, just going Reaper Scout. All quite standard stuff for both players.
Yeah. I suppose we could talk about the cheeses of TvT, the T-Rex Reaper, but honestly that has not died, not as nearly good as it once was. And these two players, while Kars has had some wonky strategy in the past, I would never really call him that cheesy. HeRoMaRinE certainly not either, although any good player in a best of can throw out anything.
Absolutely. I did notice in the production tab there that Cars got his gases a little bit earlier than HeRoMaRinE, so looking like he wants to get those higher gas units or production a little bit quicker. HeRoMaRinE delaying his slightly. Kind of leads me to believe that Cars is once again going to try and go for that Cyclone opener, because they do cost 100 gas. They do take a fair few resources to pump out. There's that first Cyclone coming out now. Starport surely to follow, I'm sure. And HeRoMaRinE rather is going for the tech option. So he's getting his Starport a lot quicker. Just going to try and hold the map with Hellions. And really, both players' game plan hasn't really come to fruition yet.
Yeah, I mean, you noted the Reaper staying at home. No one really wanted to risk losing that if the other person had gone for 2 Reapers. We finally have that Starport on the way for Cause, though some people do push that off in favor of just as many Cyclones as possible. As you noted, it is going to be later, much cheaper, much faster to get the Hellions, and 4 of them are on their way. I mean, Cause might just not expect a simple Hellion run into the natural. He's holed up on his main base, and they could get in and get out.
All right, so HeRoMaRinE switching over the Starport into the Tech Lab here. It could be Viking, could be Cloak Banshee. It looks like Cloak Banshee is going to be on the cards here with Hellions for low ground harassment. So this is going to give HeRoMaRinE a nice, quick, light sort of counter-attacking army. But that Big Daddy Cyclone is still being pumped out for Cars back at home. So the Hellions won't be able to find too much of an opening. Nice scout here from Cars. Reaper getting into the main. Picking off an SDV as well. Just putting icing on the cake here.
Now, the Hellions are forced to come back, but really nice that Cause is able to see the Tech Lab, even get into the natural here. Yes, if you grab the kill. So that's really important. When you go for Cyclone openers, you can take on Banshee openers, as long as you have a scan available, right? But knowledge is power here. If you can save that scan, you can be a little more aggressive, but of course he also saw how many Hellions there were, and he doesn't want them to allow freely to slip by into his natural and kill SCVs.
And that's the plan here for HeRoMaRinE. Cars just holding that high ground there with the Cyclones. The scan goes down to the main base, and Cars holding strong here. Just 2 Cyclones will beat that many Hellions, so they do get deflected. The Banshee is on the way, but I mean, you mentioned it. Cars, as soon as he saw that spinning Tech Lab, he instantly started his NG Bay. He's starting his turrets up right now and switching into Bio.
Yeah, just playing a little defensive with a little bit of a drop here. It does like they both bypass each other. The Marines, the Hellions are on the map, could be a problem. The Banshee, not so much, but these guys have pretty good controls. You're always able to pick off the outlying SCVs, especially the ones on gas in the main.
And this turret is not in range of the Banshee, but does have extra detection range, so these Cyclones can chase it down for the most part. Cloak is done for HeRoMaRinE, so these Banshees that are out for him will have to try and find an opening. It is a bit of a costly investment. Oh, looks like HeRoMaRinE actually has a small contingent of Marines here, but Cars has a lot more and medevac support.
Is a little, oh, that was a nice replacement filter right there. HeRoMaRinE not expecting that, but it's a little unfortunate whenever these get to fully unload, but because everything of HeRoMaRinE was back in the main, it ends up going okay.
Yeah, and he's got that siege tank in the main and the natural, so not really droppable here for Cars. Whatever he drops is going to be in range of those tanks, and he's just chasing them down with the superior speed of these Hellions. So not really any harassment potential for Cars at this stage of the game. HeRoMaRinE hilariously doesn't have any way to chase that medevac and shoot it down. He doesn't have Stim. It's still pumping up Marines, getting a Viking on the way here. And Cars is going to have Stim quite a bit quicker here, and also Bio upgrades, so he's going to have a bit of a stronger army in a second.
Yeah. Pretty classic. If we do get into Bio versus Bio, it's a classic matchup of 2 base versus 3 base. You know, can you punish the 3rd base, 3rd CC being taken so much quicker? Usually the 2 base attacker still gets 3rd CC eventually, but it's a nice little bit of harassment, finally finding something to do with that medevac. He's going to try and grab a tank, but a very quick pull, and the SCV is going to not be able to save it, but the medevac goes down, and Kaz will lose that drop for it.
Yeah, that was quite a bit of investment actually for that one tank, but he does get it, so power to him.
Yeah. Looks like Kaz is a little worried of those Banshees taking control of the front with a tank push, but or actually even just picking off a tank because he doesn't have a scan available. So he does, but it's pretty safe to put the missile turret out in the front like that.
Both players powering on 2 bases here. Both just we have HeRoMaRiNE's 3rd done in the main, but Cars is sort of chilling here. He's making a big army at the moment, and HeRoMaRiNE looking for harassment potential, but not really finding it. That these Hellions are giving him, they're a little bit of a safety blanket. You know, he knows that the army of Cars is very, very hard to get around his Hellions because of how fast they are, where they're positioned. The only real way for them to move out is for, you know, or for them to fly over them, basically. And we do have that 3rd starting the Cars in the main by the looks of things, but we got the Cyclones rolling on in here. The Banshees, rather than the Cyclones, are ready.
Cyclones do have more upfront damage when they lock on like that, but of course if you break the lock on, they gotta wait for a while, so some very clever micro there from HeRoMaRinE, but he has to keep an eye on those Hellions. He has to know when the attack is on the way. He is behind on some very key upgrades. Even if Stim finishes, Combat Shield is arguably even more important, especially in certain scenarios, so HeRoMaRinE's gonna be very careful with how he takes the third. In fact, he was planning on it. Looks like he sent it back. Playing very safe.
Yeah, gonna take it easy here. There is a potential of another drop. I mean, Cars does have a pretty powerful army right now, quite a bit up in supply, heavily in favor of the Marine count, and he is moving across the map to the north side. HeRoMaRinE's army sort of in the middle, moving all the way back into his natural at the moment as his production switches over. He's holding these towers, but Cars is undetected to the north position here. He's going for a doom drop.
Ooh, that is very dangerous. This is something that HeRoMaRinE should be rather well prepared for, though, because he doesn't have to protect 3 locations, just 2, and he's already in the main.
3 of those tanks getting unloaded here, and they see jump outside of the range of HeRoMaRinE's tanks. Cars in the mineral line. The Marines of HeRoMaRinE stimming in for those tanks, and he gets 1.
The Marines do all fall. The Banshee's not ending up to targeting the tanks. We're very close to falling to the Marines. A nicely timed scan from Cass. I thought that would have been cleaned up a little bit better, to be honest, but HeRoMaRinE really with a lack of Marines. They didn't have such a good concave. He didn't pull the SCVs, so
wow.
a couple Marines getting quite a few SCV kills makes this pretty worth it. But consider how HeRoMaRinE had that faster third CC. This was almost necessary damage, as HeRoMaRinE now is the one leading in upgrades and army supply.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, we could see that HeRoMaRinE he's taken 13 SCV losses, which stings, but he's only down about 6 workers, and his upgrades are looking really nice here. The third is getting pushed out. We see Cars trying to take his third at the same time, but HeRoMaRinE not really trading terribly there. His army supply now quite a bit of advantage. His tech's better, his upgrades are better, and he's going to hold that third very comfortably. Cars moving out again, trying to go down the south path, but HeRoMaRinE sees it with these Hellions at the Xel'Naga.
Nice use of Hellions. Usually after the 4-minute mark or something like that, they're basically dead weight, but taking the Xel'Naga is going to be very useful until you can get those sensor towers up. HeRoMaRinE, though he doesn't always play mech, does play like a style-like mech, like very defensive, somewhat even turtley, until he's very confident he has the advantage. So I would expect sensor towers maybe a bit faster than Cass, who really, Cass has the control here. He might not, find all the maneuvers to push in, he might not find weaknesses of HeRoMaRinE, but the third CC, well, that was slower. He could maybe even expand a bit faster, knowing how HeRoMaRinE plays.
And HeRoMaRinE with these units right now, he is looking for this push that he thought was coming from Cars, scans and sees the armies at home, and he's like, okay, no worries. I can just keep my Marines or even pull them back. He's just holding that high ground and just keeping an eye out to get as early warning as possible for this push of Cars that his Hellions checked again for, just dying in the bottom south there. And we do have, as mentioned, the upgrades for HeRoMaRinE, quite a bit ahead on that 2-2. Mech upgrades about the same. And the army supply really kind of could go in either way depending on where they engage. It's a very, very close game. And you mentioned those sensor towers. They are coming out for HeRoMaRinE here.
And a much faster second factory. Oh no, actually, Cass already has his and using 2 tanks at a time. So nice for him to start upping that tank count. I mean, Marines, whether you go heavy tanks or heavy Marines, both are obviously important, but can lead to very different styles. But that's going to finish up. Cass does take that 4th CC.
Oh, HeRoMaRinE's out of position here.
Yeah, third is actually really not well protected.
Yeah, he's going to left a big opening here for Cars to get all those tanks sieged in range of that 3rd CC. His army was moving across that high ground in the middle of the map there, and we're just seeing the movement back. But this is a tough position for HeRoMaRinE to engage into. How does he get this cleaned up efficiently at this point? Meanwhile, he's slowly taking damage, going to lose a tank here to Cars.
Yeah, this is really nice from Cars. That 4CC was put on location, and his upgrades aren't so far behind that I'm not sure HeRoMaRine's going to be looking for like a timing here, although he's probably clicking frantically on the upgrades.
Banshee's coming on in here. It's going to be up to HeRoMaRinE to control this correctly. He does pick off 1 tank. Scan going down. And if he can continue to bait scans and keep these Banshees alive, this is the answer for HeRoMaRinE to get himself out of the sticky situation. He does push him back.
I think it was a very smart pullback from Cos. He could have lost a couple extra tanks there, not having that many scans. Maybe now they'll start really banking scans. They have that high saturation of workers. And again, Cos with the faster 4CC, but HeRoMaRinE did need that 6th gas. He's going on to 3-3, double tank production and no 4th, but his army is almost maxed out. It's his turn to finally get out on the map and do something, and will Cass be prepared to defend?
Oh, man. These 2 old school players playing Marine tank against each other, what else could you ask for? This is like Christmas and my birthday at the same time for this first series of WCS 2018. Oh, looks like both players are going to be here. The medevac's getting very far forward. Very dangerous here for HeRoMaRinE. Oh, that's so many tanks. HeRoMaRinE pull out. Oh, God, takes a huge shelling there. Cars has a massive concave of Marines, and he crushes HeRoMaRiNE's army.
That was the right word to use. That was an absolutely crushing defeat for HeRoMaRinE, who finally was able to move out on the map. But remember, didn't get a 4CC. He was not really all in with that. I mean, he has 3-3 on the way, but he was not supposed to lose it like that. Now down 20, almost 30 supply with only upgrades to help him out, and those only help so much.
Yeah, that's true. That numbers really matter a whole lot more, and when you are up a good chunk, 20 or 30 army supply, upgrades don't really come into it. Some Marines leading the charge here. He sees that Kaz is on that high ground. He still has those Banshees, but where are they? One of the tanks of Kaz does go down to HeRoMaRinE. HeRoMaRine's defense doesn't look super solid. The Banshees are actually on the other side of the map, putting on some harassment, which means they're not here to help him with these tanks.
And they are stalling production for a little while, but not a great sight to see the fourth already a planetarian set up. Koss maybe not able to break this, but as long as he has a sensor tower, he's paying attention to the mini-map, there's really not a reason not to pressure HeRoMaRinE after such a crushing victory.
Some of these tanks of Kaz are very, very damaged, but HeRoMaRinE is not in range, trying to use those medevacs for sight here. Neither player really has a cluster of Vikings involved, so they don't actually, neither player is ruling the skies. It's just medevacs awkwardly bumping into each other.
Looks like Koss is the first one to identify that, so he's not even bothering with getting Viking control first. He's going right to a Liberator, which
yeah,
you get that Liberator before they think about it. It can pick off one tank, and more importantly, get all the tanks to unsiege, and that's your point where you've run in. But it's actually HeRoMaRinE choosing to go, but it's up and rammed to a choke.
Yeah, he does have a big concave of Marines, though. Similar to the last engagement of Kaz, just overwhelming Marine numbers, getting the job done here. The first couple of Vikings did actually meet their death there, just to those Marines off HeRoMaRinE. So he breaks that contain, and as we're standing, once again, a very even game, but Kaz is making a 5th command center zombie grub. He is up quite a bit in economy.
He has a few more mistakes to make like that, but, you know, TvT can definitely snowball. You lose, actually, the HeRoMaRinE lost in the mid-game right there, but if you lose again like that, then you can suddenly have your opponent on top of your production, and that is a death sentence to Terran. So Kaz wants to meet him so much more in the middle of the map, but he only has 2 tanks, so this is not going to go well.
No, and HeRoMaRinE has a lot more army supply than Kaz right now. Kaz looking like he's setting up his infrastructure for the super late game, but HeRoMaRinE might be able to stop it right here, right now with these tanks. A couple of them may get picked off. No, they siege and they fire, and the Marines of Kaz getting cleaned up. HeRoMaRinE stims on in, and he's going for it.
This is exactly what I was talking about. If he can get on top of production, that's absolutely going to be it for Kaz, but Kaz does not want to give up anytime soon. He has such a better economy that this is going to feel like an injustice if he cannot get this off his back.
Yeah, if he can clean up here and leave some army supply, and the end of it all, Kaz could actually come in on top here. HeRoMaRinE trying to get the job done with his army. Kaz just bleeding in Marines 3 at a time here into this force of HeRoMaRinE. He just really needs to hold on. Can't lose his base, can't lose too many workers. HeRoMaRinE just rallying more and more units. He's up 30 army supply, and it is all about to fight any second now.
I think the reinforcements are going to do the trick. There is that single Liberator, but where did it go? It may be off to harass a base. It's not going to be able to help here anyways. The concave is too good, and Kaz loses his tanks, and is going to lose his natural.
And probably the game at this point, as HeRoMaRinE is right in his face with all of his units. He's just streaming blue units across the map. It's too much. GG! And Kaz taps out on the first game of WCS Leipzig 2018. And man, what a close, exciting TvT to start things off with.
Yeah, very unexpected. After HeRoMaRinE took that bad trade in the middle of the map, he still had enough of a defensive setup to hold on 3 bases, but that was 3 bases to 4 and then 5. Anytime there was an upgrade advantage, I don't believe that's when HeRoMaRinE took the fights. So the most part, that didn't play a part. It was just 1 bad fight for HeRoMaRinE versus 2 bad fights for Kaz is how I would kind of summarize the last 3 minutes of that game.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually a really sick tug of war for a long time, that match. But both players trading blows. Kaz looking like he was in a very dominant position. Then HeRoMaRinE counter taking that dominant position, and just, oh man, it's going to be really excited for game 2, put it that way. I'm also, to be real with you guys all watching right now, we looked at the series and we're like, all right, HeRoMaRinE 2-0. We would expect to be a lot better than Kaz at this point in StarCraft 2, but game 1's got me turning my head a little bit, going, maybe this could tie it up. Maybe even Kaz goes 2-1 here.
I do believe that was a nicely played out, aggressive opener. Remember, he started off 2 base to the 3. Was able to do a little bit of damage, definitely equalize, and maybe even then some, and then kind of took control. And I think that is, if we're going to talk about weaknesses of HeRoMaRinE despite winning that series, or the game, is that he's something you would expect. 3cc, defensive, macro, only makes the smartest choices possible, so the riskier, more aggressive player can start to open up opportunities for themselves, which Kaz did but then just tried to defend in the middle of the map instead of back at home, and maybe that would have been better.
Just imagine if Cars had like 10 or so more army supply, maybe tanks positioned a little bit better, maybe that Liberator was part of the fight. He had those 5 CCs. HeRoMaRinE was floating his main out to his 4th location. Like he was pretty all in at that point. If his big push didn't do the job and didn't get the game done, Cars could have absolutely steamrolled him and longer the game that went.
Yeah, and Cars did have information about that, I believe. That's where the Liberator went, was to the 4th CC, which he saw was an orbital, and probably assumed like, okay, you really are desperate. If I could just hold, and maybe I could continue with my more production. He's going to have more economy and be able to bring back the game, but just not able to. Such a steamroll. What happened in that last second?
Yeah, HeRoMaRinE. It's getting everyone in the crowd excited as he is a bit of a hometown hero against the Ukrainian Cars.
They're pretty excited about those fries, man.
I mean, I had a cone earlier and it was quite tasty. Yeah, let's just move that camera real quick. Very passionate crowd. Lots of good feels out there.
Yeah, that's all good.
Oh wow, Andrew WK made it here. Nice.
We are waiting for the players to get into the lobby. So, Koss absolutely can do it. Again, not expecting him to actually beat HeRoMaRinE, but then that last game has me saying I think he can do it, especially if it does turn out that this one of these games is a mech versus mech or Cyclone versus Cyclone. We still haven't seen their caliber against each other with that, and that is such a different way to play the game. Not just Cyclones are different than Marines, like that's kind of the obvious one, but how you expand, how you upgrade can be so different.
Oh man, this has got to be a Harston fan right here. Has to be part of the crew. The 07 crew. Anyway, both players, this is the round of 64, obviously. They are only one step away from making the money here and getting into the WCS points. As you guys may not be aware, back at home, the rules have changed a little bit in 2018, where the round of 32 is not only getting paid, they are getting WCS points. So it's 100 WCS points to start things off. So both players are going to want that strong start for 2018. They are just one stage away.
Yeah. We'll be getting into the game soon enough, but yeah, bit of different WCS. And, I joined that WCS circuit as a commentator a little later last year. I got to see kind of the end result, what would go into BlizzCon. This is the opposite. It's the beginning. Like, who's going to come out of the gate very strong, as that can really carry you very far at the end of the year.
Yeah, this is the tournament where you make your predictions, and when they start to turn true around November, then you look really, really smart and cool. But it's hard to get right. Unless you just sit there and do the sure thing where you're like, all right, Neeb's going to win one of them.
The sure thing.
The sure thing. But is it though?
Sure. I think Protoss does have trouble on new maps sometimes, but
that's right. I mean, and also, you've got your Serals, your Kelazors. Like, people just seem like they are just breathing distance away from the nape of a WCS trophy. Like, they are just so close. Seral was so close. He's a finalist. Snoot, a finalist. There's also a Laser who won one. And Special, of course. Like, top 4 in BlizzCon. Surely he can win a WCS.
I love that was kind of in summary, well, except for the Laser part, but like who lost against Neeb, and then one person who won against Neeb, which was Special, which put him pretty high up on the tier. Of course, he did so well at BlizzCon too. That's obviously not the only thing that put him high up for a victory here. But yeah, a lot of those WCSs last year are just who lost to Neeb and how hard did he win against them. So set himself up quite well. Nerchio also on that list.
Of course.
Boston last year.
Hello, Cars, you handsome boy. Welcome back to the stage. Yeah, we're pretty cool. We're waiting for game number 2 here. So we're having a bit of a name change. Obviously, you guys remember that Cars was backup J in that game. We decided maybe we should just have Cars written there instead. So maybe do that in game 2.
Yeah.
Hello, Gabriel.
I figured that was, J backup. How far in the alphabet is J?
Pretty far. It's about halfway through.
10?
Yeah, almost halfway. There you go. Alphabet's 20-something.
Yeah, who needs to know the alphabet numbers anyways?
I mean, what is alphabet the new thing that casters shouldn't do? How there's unwritten rules. We shouldn't do live maths while casting. We probably shouldn't do live alphabet either.
Well, I don't know how people are expected to do the alphabet backwards.
Some people can. I don't know how. I watch people do it very easily. I know, people drink driving. The cops will ask them, hey, do the alphabet backwards to see if you're drunk or not. And it's like, well, I can't do that when I'm stone cold sober. I could do that right now. So that's really quite mean.
Just like, honestly,
that's a bad test right there.
Apparently, I'm just kind of dumb. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm sorry, officer. I was a C-grade student. I can't do this.
I don't think they ever tested you on saying the alphabet backwards, just because.
No, never once. No, right. And then they're like, "Oh, balance on one foot and hold your arms out." I'm like, come on! I didn't do calisthenics. I ain't a gymnast, man.
Plan these rings for a little while. So many you can do. That's how you do.
Right.
That's how you do it.
If you're not slurring, you're doing well. But yeah, so game 2, moments away. Pretty dynamic game number 1 there. Both players playing Marine Tank. It's pretty much as standard could be. Neither player adopting for the Cyclone memes. Neither of them actually gave way to the Cyclone meta right now. But of course, that could change in this series. We did see Cars sort of go for the same opening before we had to redo game 1. And didn't change his game plan at all.
Yeah. Seeing HeRoMaRinE open up like that, though, and this is just me, and I'm not as nearly as good a player as these guys, but I would be like, you know, Hellions, they kind of get beat by Cyclones. So maybe I should just go for a lot of Cyclones. Because the Banshee, as I was talking about in the game, if you prepare for it, if you have a scan ready to go, that Cyclone, the new way it works, it does the same amount of damage, but it's so much more up front. You get 2 Cyclones locked on, it actually goes down really, really quickly before it can escape from that scan range. It's a bit different, and that's part of the reason why Cyclones became so popular, is that they could finally deal with Banshees somewhat reliably, as opposed to the last patch, which they still can't kill a Liberator. Or you know, man, one Cyclone will not kill a Liberator.
A couple lock-ons to get the Liberator down. It's really funny. There's that burst from Cyclones, which you feel like should be doing a lot of damage. It looks like 1,000 rockets hitting something, which you know, in your brain, you're like, all right, this looks like a lot of damage for this attack animation, but it's just not really. Not really.
No, it's not.
No.
But, you know, it's not a guarantee. It's not like the Hellion opener always dies to any type of Cyclone, especially like a 2-base Cyclone opener, you know. But
now, I am jealous of that man's beard. I'm just going to break something off right there. That is a beard that I'm jealous of.
Okay. We're almost ready to go. Thank you, good sir, for showing off your beard.
Oh, he even has a shirt that says respect. You know what? That's the first shirt I would buy when I had a beard like that. I've got to be honest. That's the first thing I would do. I mean, I could actually wear that shirt right now, I suppose, but he's he's destroying me. I'm actually getting very intimidated right now.
Yeah. Maybe you could do it for your dreads, though. Respect the dreads.
Ah, smart.
Yeah.
You're not just a pretty face some grew up. Don't let anyone tell you that.
I try.
All right, we're jumping into the game. Apparently they were waiting on us. Whoopsie daisies.
We'll take the blame this time, Maynard.
I'll take a bullet here for WCS.
It's going to be on Catalyst, so we do have the new map pool, which we'd love to talk about. I would love to watch some games from these guys in the new map pool.
We will be seeing the new maps eventually, I promise you guys.
Eventually, they will have to. There's only 3 of the old maps. Black,
That's right,
Eon, and Catalyst.
Exactly. And we will be getting into best of 5 territory before you know it. Day 2 is going to have a ton of them, actually.
But not this time. These guys can go ahead and beat those out.
Yeah, they certainly can.
Catalyst it is. One of the, well, at the before this map, I suppose it was the shortest map that we had. But now, what's that short one?
Abiogenesis.
There we go. Yeah.
We get to decide with the first event how it's pronounced, by the way. We set the standard right now. We've decided it's Abiogenesis.
Yeah.
So if you're saying Abiogenesis, then get corrected, son.
It's not Wingardium Leviosa.
Wingardium Leviosa. All right. We are in the game, guys. The series does continue. On the top left here, still representing Mouse Esports, this is HeRoMaRinE.
And in the bottom right, he nearly took a game, but not quite. Can he do it this time? It is the Red Terran, Kos.
Yes, Ukrainian Terran representing Cascade. And we are going to see, we actually have a very saucy opening here. You're seeing there through your preview. That is a double proxy here from HeRoMaRinE.
Yeah, from HeRoMaRinE, which is important to note. So right up against that ledge, there is a Reaper ledge on Catalyst, and then really one of the powers. Oh, wait a minute. We also have something interesting from Kos. Look at that.
Yeah.
This barracks is natural.
That is true.
There's for that.
Wow, that's like the marker rocks, right?
There you go. Yeah.
So that is an old school strat.
Yeah,
for an old school boy.
A lot too. You not usually against Terran though. I thought it was against Zerg.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird things going on right now, but at the moment, I got to say, I pretty much favor HeRoMaRinE's position, getting that gas back at home.
2 racks. Better than 1 rack.
That is true.
No matter where you
We
put
did
it.
just mention we're not allowed to do maths live on stream, but 2 is greater than 1. We're pretty confident to be able to say that.
Yeah. So this is going to be really awkward. So first of all, HeRoMaRinE's going to get in there and expect a Reaper, most likely. Reaper openers being more of the safest option. But it's going to be a little bit delayed. And he's going to think, okay, great, it was 1 rack to expand, which it is. And he's going to get even further and be like, well, where is the barracks? Where did that Reaper come from? Where did it come from back?
Yeah, and Kos is trying to get a factory down now. And yes, factory units will poop on Reapers eventually, but not for a while. And there are going to be probably 4 up to 6 Reapers coming out of HeRoMaRinE before he transitions. We may not even see a transition if these Reapers get the damage done that he's hoping to get done.
And with the Wonderax Expand, you really are trying to, like, you got to cut corners. You got to really know what you want to build up to. And sometimes that doesn't include a Cyclone, so you don't quite have enough, or you're going to have to cancel second Reaper. But it is important to note that Kaz did go for a second Reaper, which is a good start. He also walled off.
That is a full wall.
Little ledge there, but his command center might just have to be canceled. It's certainly going to be delayed.
Yeah, the SCV goes down, and the Reapers 2x2 going in here for HeRoMaRinE. Going to stop the factory from finishing, in fact, and they can definitely gun down these units of Kaz, which are actually caught between 3 Reapers in a hard place, pulling back to where the production is, and another Reaper's going to pop out and pick it up.
Oh, that's really bad. If you can get those 2 Reapers alive but injured behind a wall of SCVs, then it's somewhat doable. The factory is also delayed at the very last second. It's going to be delayed at the very last second. And so far, this does not look good for Kaz.
No, it's doing much. GG. HeRoMaRinE just gets a 2-0 with an unceremonious victory there with the proxy Reapers. Like I mentioned, we may not even see a transition because 2 Reapers, I mean, he really got caught with his pants down there, unfortunately. HeRoMaRinE takes a very cheeky second game.
Yeah, I talked about Kaz perhaps opening up with something more aggressive, but it was HeRoMaRinE that just went for the easy, fast second game. Caught Kaz doing the Wonderax Expand, which is, you know, regardless of how you actually end up doing it, you keep the 2 Reapers alive is always a little difficult to perform against a 2-Rax Reaper proxy.
That's right. Wow, what a way for the first series of WCS Leipzig to begin and end there. Crazy game 1 and a very quick and decisive game 2. And the real story there was just the ability to stop that factory from finishing and just to catch all the Reapers of Kaz as well. Like, he couldn't save them. Yep. They pulled out to where the Reapers were being produced, so they were just getting picked off one by one. Yeah,
the second Reaper going down the ramp like that and able to micro it back was probably the start of it, honestly. Again, if you can get the Reapers alive but not healthy, but you get some support, that factory might eventually finish. But then there's also time buying for the Cyclone, which will absolutely stop it. But it comes a little bit slower than the Hellion, and the Hellion might be a little bit more better option, but we never got there, so.
Yeah, it really obviously was a tricky moment for Kaz as well. Like, even if he got a Hellion out, like, a Hellion will die to 6 Reapers if they're all still alive. There's not a whole lot you can do about it.
Yeah.
So it's not over for Kaz. He does still, you know, this is the first series of his group stage 2. So it'd be cool to see how far he gets, but let's talk to HeRoMaRinE with Anna on the stage.
Thanks so much, guys. I'm here. Let's hear it one more time for HeRoMaRinE. Yes. Congratulations, a very convincing second game. What are your thoughts coming right out of this series?
I think that second game was a little bit of mind games because he doesn't know what I usually do. Normally I go for like standard games most of the time, and because he played greedily on the first map, I decided to go for the all-in in the second one, or the pressure.
Yeah, speaking of that first game, there was a big fight for you that looked a little bit scary. Was there ever a moment where you were worried, and how did you keep your cool?
Yeah, it surprised me how many units he had at that one main battle. He was able to crush me there, and from that point on, I needed to make a comeback work. Luckily, he overcommitted and did like the same thing I did, just a little worse because he lost more, and I was able to get the win based off that.
Yeah, absolutely. It worked for you. And we were talking about how you could be considered one of the best Terrans in Europe. Now you're moving forward into this tournament with a very strong start. What are your hopes as you move forward in this tournament?
Personally, I just want to get to the third group stage, first of all. That's like the main goal for everybody in the open bracket. And from that point on, it depends a lot on the group. If I get like a really tough group with 2 great seeded players, then it's going to be tough to get round of 16. But my personal main goal is to get round of 16 and play tomorrow as well.
Well, we wish you the absolute best of luck as you do that. And guys, don't go anywhere because we'll be back with more StarCraft 2 right after this.